changing the placement of loading. A really underrated way to progress an exercise or even just change what it does is changing where the load is placed. By changing the piece of equipment or just where the equipment is held around your body, you can really change the inputs that are going in, which thus will change the outputs that are created. For example, I'm going to show you 3 different ways that we can load a lateral lunge using a kettlebell. Firstly, we can just hold it out in front of us so that it's going to be hanging around our midline. This is going to give us a lot of balance because the weight is nice and low, and it's also really close to our center of mass. That will result on the foot us actually getting a decent amount of mid-foot pressure there. Whereas then if I hold it up in the front rack position, then that's going to bring it not only higher, so it's going to be harder for me to balance and stay over my center of mass, but also it's going to push me forward because relative to my center of mass, the weight is going to be in front of me. That means that on my foot, I'm going to be shifting towards my toes, and if my form breaks down a bit, my heel's going to come off the floor as well. Then I'm going to do a kind of weird one, and I probably wouldn't do this one all too often, but I'm going to hold it out behind me, so it's going to be on my hip. By applying it here, while it does get a bit in the way, it's going to shift me back into a more yielding position where most of the weight is going to fall on my heel. This means I'll be shifting backwards, and my toes might come off if my form breaks down there. Although this one is kind of tough to execute. Now by changing where on my foot I'm going to be placing more of the pressure, I'm actually changing the exercise quite a lot. In relation to gait, this is actually training completely different phases of our cycle. And that's only using one type of equipment. If I choose to use a med ball or a barbell, there's going to be even more options available to me. So be creative, don't just stick on one type of weight just because it works. Try different things and actually feel how they change the movement.